Hello there, Mad Mike here, and welcome back to the channel. And today we are going to do a trailer breakdown of Disney Pixar's Soul. And this is the first official trailer for this movie. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that. First full-length trailer for this movie. We did have a teaser that came out about 4 months ago. But this is our first full trailer. And keep in mind, Pixar did just come out with Onward, which even though it won the box office, it's not making as much money as some other Disney Pixar films tend to do. I think it had the lowest opening weekend actually for a Pixar film, although I could be wrong about that. Or at least one in recent memory. So this is being done. I feel like this is a bit more in the art style of Inside Out, that kind of deal. And basically, the opening shot, we have the little Pixar logo like we usually do. And then you see this, looks like this little blue marshmallow man fall down from the sky and he hits the ground. And that is our main character of Joe. And basically, this trailer does kind of do the cardinal sin of trailers, and that's a problem I'm gonna go over at the end. But just to let you know, it's kind of what it is. So if you don't want to be spoiled on the movie or something like that, I wouldn't advise watching this trailer because it does give quite a bit away about what is going on. So Joe, who is voiced by Jamie Foxx, is I believe they say junior high music teacher. And basically, they do these. He basically says like he doesn't know what's happening, and he says it's been the best day of his life. And he's talking to these three like older little marshmallow people. And basically, we find out that they're actually souls. So Joe had accidentally died over the course of that day. It shows him walking over a manhole that doesn't have a cover, and he falls into it. And presumably, that is how he died. He falls, cracks his head, or does something. So his soul is going to the great beyond, basically, or whatever your chosen religion chooses to call it. And this is kind of it's a weird sort of, again, it's a lot like Inside Out in the sense that it's very personified in what it's trying to show. It's not, it's kind of the graphics and kind of the animation of it, of the soul people are kind of, it's in line a bit more with that. The actual, the photorealism kind of what we look at when we look at the real world, when we look at the character of Joe and the other people that are walking around, when we see those segments at the first part of the trailer where we kind of go over Joe's life or his day to day. And they're actually kind of interesting. That they're very, very detailed. I think they're some of the most detailed I've seen in Pixar, at least in a long time. Probably since Up. I think Up was the last one that I thought was really, really detailed in what they did in terms of the coloring and stuff of the actual characters, and the textures and stuff like that too. It almost looks a bit like claymation in a sense. Obviously, it doesn't have the same exact aesthetic of it, but it kind of feels like that with the way it looks. It looks more real. It looks like a puppeteer almost. But that, again, that's just me. I'm kind of overanalyzing something a little bit. But after that, we kind of find out that Joe somehow manages to escape the perpetual stairway to heaven, and he winds up in this kind of alternate area where he becomes or it doesn't become, but he meets with souls that are yet to be put into bodies on Earth. So basically, the idea of it is okay, when before you go to Earth, you're a soul. You have a number. He meets one that's called number 22 that doesn't want to go to Earth and become a person. But you have he meets up with one of them, and basically they kind of explain. There's actually kind of a little goofy scene where he tries to explain, to the younger soul what needs to happen in order to, why he should want to live on Earth and live a life and die, as opposed to not, just not going at all. He's trying to explain like, oh, well, what about pizza? And he has like, I don't know where the pizza comes from, because again, they explain in the scene that they don't have taste, they don't have a digestive system, they don't have any kind of senses, so it doesn't matter. They can't feel anything. And they have a funny little thing where he says, "Oh, you don't have a sense of touch at all," so and he starts smacking him, and obviously nothing happens, and eventually he just gets pissed off and says, "Okay, you can stop." Which again, that's kind of a funny thing. That was some good humor, and I like that in the trailer. I think the humor in it seems like it's kind of spot on, especially for a bit of a morbid subject. Um, but basically, Joe manages to find a way to get back into his body, which apparently is not dead, but in a coma. Which okay, um, and I guess that's what happened because he didn't actually enter into the afterlife. I would assume that's the reason why. And then it shows at the very end of the trailer, it shows him and the number 22 falling towards this tunnel, and the tunnel appears to lead to Joe's body. Um, so, yeah, it pretty much gives away the entire plot. The guy named Joe, he dies. He doesn't go to heaven. Instead, he goes to some other place where souls are yet to come into this world, and he has to convince the soul to let him follow him into the real world so he can re-inhabit his body. And presumably he does that because again we see him falling down the hole to where we can see his body. So basically it gives away the entire plot except for the ending where he obviously wakes up and he's okay. Um, now the I like the voice cast. I like the actor that plays 22. I think I can't tell if it's a man or a woman. I think it's a man though, who's just or a kid, doing a kid voice. But ultimately, I think it's a good work. Jamie Foxx, I think, does a really good job in this. At the beginning of it, it felt a little bit clunky, but then as soon as you got into the actual stuff in the movie, when it goes away from the monologue itself, where he's actually talking to other characters, it sounds a lot better. Um, but again, I don't know offhand how much voice work Jamie Foxx has done in his career. He's probably done some, but again, I don't know of it extensively. I know more of his actual physical roles. Um, but going through the trailer again, other than the fact it commits the cardinal sin of trailers, it looks like a fun little movie. It looks like something again akin to an Inside Out. Um, and I love how they also at the beginning of the trailer they mention Inside Out and Coco, which I guess aesthetically, again, are probably the most similar to this film in terms of an art style. Because it seems like there's a couple different art styles that have been kind of evolving with Pixar over the years. You got kind of the Toy Story team, you got the vehicles, people, planes and cars and that kind of thing. Um, the Incredibles are kind of off on their own, more or less. That's its own individual thing, and now you have kind of this that looks a bit different. Um, and again, I think it just more or less depends on who the director is and who's exactly making the creative choices on this or that particular film. But I would be concerned about this in the sense that again, Onward just came out and it did not do necessarily great numbers. It's probably going to make somewhat of a profit because it's Pixar and it's Disney, and you have a couple of big names attached to that with Chris Pratt and Tom Holland. So there's a lot going forward with that, but this I think has the probability to. I think this will definitely surpass Onward, just based on what I can see on this. In terms of I think writing and how it works. Um, so yeah, I like it. I think you can go various places with this. I think that it's an interesting kind of look at the concept of an afterlife. Again, a lot like in Inside Out, where it's the concept of emotions acting out in your brain. But again, I really do kind of enjoy it. The art style is kind of interesting but weird, and I think that Jamie Foxx does a good job. As of, at least for the majority of the trailer, so I'd be kind of interested to see what's going on moving forward. And again, if you're upset with spoilers and stuff like that, like I said before, I wouldn't have watched the trailer or listened to me review it. Um, but if you don't care about spoilers and hearing about it, it seems like a nice little story. So moving on from that, as usual, I will link the trailer below for anybody who would like to watch it. And I want to know what you think about Soul. Are you excited for another Pixar film? Which, again, I don't know the exact date of when this is coming out, but since it's the first trailer, I'd assume either late this year or early next year. So I want to know what your feelings are on that. Are you excited for it? Are you not excited for it? Do you like the idea of Jamie Foxx doing voice acting? Do you think that, or do you think that it's maybe this is kind of Pixar overload a little bit? You know, only do a movie every once in a while. You don't need to do a movie every year or two movies in a year or anything like that. You know, don't vamp it up like Marvel and Star Wars have done. Um, and yeah, again, just leave those thoughts in the comments below. Um, Make sure to hit the bell for notifications, hit the like button, subscribe, and remember, I live my life free of compromise. Do you?